Okay, hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I have a stack of books here. This is on top of like a ottoman thing. The stack is not quite as big as it looks. There we go. I've read 14 books this month. 14. That is the most I've read in a month so far, surpassing 12. So 2 more than the most I've ever read. I really tried. And filming this on the 30th, it's probably not going up until a week later. I this morning was like, do I try and squeeze another book in to make it 15? Because currently, little sneak peek, there is one tiny gap, but the page is otherwise full. But no, I have other things to do today. I would have had to like probably squeeze in a novella, and I don't want to burn myself out. That being said, I'm really tired today and all I want to do is read. So anyway, I spent the majority of the morning, well, I finished the latest book and updating all of my like little reviews. I do like a little bit of a review. I write something down. To be honest, I hadn't written anything for this one until now, and I finished that on the 2nd day of the month. Anyway, let's get into the 14 books that I read in June. The first book I read this month, technically I read a lot of it last month. I started it on the 27th, finished on the 2nd, and that is King of Sloth by Ana Huang. Right, King of Wrath I also rated 4 stars, and I do think I probably thought of it quite similar. King of Pride I rated 4.5, so I think that one probably is still my favourite because I don't think I rated King of Greed that highly. King of Greed I also rated 4 stars, so literally book 1, 3 and 4 I've rated 4 stars. So book 2 with Kai is still my favourite, which I had a feeling it would be. I was looking forward to this book since book 1, because obviously it was not confirmed at the time, and obviously there was 2 more books in between. But there was, because of the fact that Sloane and Xavier, or it's spelled Xavier, however I partly listened to this on audiobook and like literally only a tiny bit of it, and he pronounced it as Javier, but I thought Javier was with a J and Xavier was with an X, so I'm not actually sure how you pronounce this. I've seen everyone else pronounce it Xavier, but anyway, I'm gonna say Xavier. Xavier and Sloane had a very, not tumultuous relationship. They were very clearly at odds. They very clearly didn't get on. So I was really looking forward to that dynamic, because I really thought it was going to be Brat, Tamar, Sloane. It was not, unfortunately. But that would have been really good if it was full on Brat, Tamar, Sloane. No, instead it was more, they brought a balance to each other. Xavier really mellowed Sloane out, which she needed because she was all work, no play. And meanwhile, Sloane made Xavier a bit more serious, kind of take things more seriously, actually do something with his life. Because I saw a YouTuber say she understood why this was called King of Sloth. I'm not going to say who. And she said because sloths are lazy. It's King of Sloth, it's Kings of Sin, darling. Sloth is one of the sins. The whole point is he doesn't do anything and he's just a nepo baby. It did make me chuckle that this person said that. Anyway, yeah, he was lazy. I kind of understood why, but I also was just a bit like, you need to grow up, hun. And he did, to be fair, he did, because like I say, Sloane made him more serious. My favourite part of the book is probably the fact that most couples from the Twisted and the If Love series were like had little cameos, or like a member of the couple. So like Christian's in this, Alex is in this, obviously Kai and everyone from the rest of the Kings of Sin series. Why have I forgotten her name? I just know because I read. Why have I forgotten her name? Jules. Josh and Jules. Josh is not in this. Jules is in this. Farah is in this from If Love. Yeah, there's just like little cameos or mentions of other characters from her other series, and I loved that. And especially like, I think obviously this series is closer to the Twisted series than it is to the If Love series. So like I said, there was actual cameos, not just mentions, more sort of from Twisted, but Farah had some involvement in this. That was probably like my favourite thing to see. I just really enjoyed that. 4 stars. I give it like a 3 on the spice scale. I'd say it's quite on par with an Anna Huang book, to be honest. I was slightly disappointed, I won't lie. Slightly, but I still really enjoyed it. That's all about, I have to say, because to be honest, this has been like a month now and I can't remember anything, so. Okay, then I read Daughter of the Pirate King by Tricia Levenseller. This one is pure Pirates of the Caribbean vibes. I really enjoyed this. I rated it a 4.25 stars. There's no spice. There is a book 2. I think there's a book 3 either, like, is it coming out soon? I can't remember. I tried to find book 2. I could not. I need to buy it online, I think. Luckily, this book ends, it's like, this book is one arc and the second book is like another arc to this story, so it's like a cliffhanger in that the story is obviously not finished, but I wouldn't say it's like a cliffhanger. I would say you can tell this arc of the story is finished and we're going to be moving on to the next one, but it's not like you have to get on to the book, like the next book now, like this is a cliffhanger, I need to know what happens next. So I'm happy that I'm like leaving it, if that makes sense. But I will be continuing with the series. So this one you're following Alosa, who is the daughter of the Pirate King, and she is on a mission to find a map or pieces of a map to put together. Yeah, she is a very, that's all I'm going to tell you. That's just the very, very basic premise of the plot, because I know a lot of people don't like to go into books knowing fully what they are. So I'll like just give like a tiny little snippet. But yeah, Alosa, she was a great FMC. Her inner monologue was really funny. She was very fierce, very brave. She's like a badass. She is morally great though, I will say that. But if anything, that makes me like her more. As Larissa, or Larry Reads on YouTube says, I support women's rights, but most importantly, I support women's wrongs. Next, I read Gothicana. This one I rated a 4 stars and a 3.5 chili pepper on the spice scale, because the spicy scenes were like a bit more spicy than like Anna Huang, if that makes sense. This one was a dark academia romance. I don't know if it's a dark romance. Really, it's more of a dark academia with romance, because the romance I wouldn't say was particularly dark. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe my brain is skewed because of some of the things I've read this month. But it was more of a dark academia romance. This one, so you're following Corvina. She is going to this college, well, university, called Veronmore. It was really giving me Wednesday vibes, like the TV show Wednesday, like with Nevermore. But obviously she's a bit older. She's like, what, 21 or 22 in this? And it's a teacher-student relationship, but she's, like I said, 21, 22. They're in university and he is a PhD student stroke teacher who is only 28. It's really... When people say, oh, it's teacher-student, and they go, oh, straight away, because it is a bit yucky. Like, when you're younger, you're kind of like, oh, teacher-student, and then you become an adult, and you're like, no, This one was fine. It was fine. Like I say, they were both adults. There was like a 7-year age gap at most. Age gap at most. It was like a 6-7 year age gap, and he was a student that had to step in as a teacher. Yeah, anyway. This is like a little, there's like a murder mystery going on. There's like kidnappings. It's like, is it magic? Is it mental illness? That's all I can describe it as. It was really enjoyable. Is the writing amazing? No, but it was easy to follow. It was a little bit slow at first, but you had to like build up to the mystery and the romance. Like the mystery especially, it was like, it had to slowly build up to be like, this is really weird. And then you find out more information where it's like, this makes it even weirder. And you're just constantly guessing, which I did really enjoy. Once the twists happened, once the ending happened, I was hooked. Like, I mean, you don't be hooked at the ending. You want to be hooked before then, but you know what I mean. Next, I read A Tempest of Tea. This one I rated 3.5 stars. It has no spice. I don't know how I feel about this book. I rated it 3.5 stars. The ending probably... Once we actually got to the heist, the ending is what like really got me into the story, and I was more invested at that point, which fair enough. I really like the characters though. I really liked the characters. So you've got, I think it's, I don't know how to pronounce, I think it's Artie. Because it's Art, like A-R-T-H-I-E. So I think it's still Artie, not Arthie, but it could be Arthie. I'm not entirely sure. And then you've got Jin, who... Jin sounds like Jin from BTS, so that's all I was imagining the whole time, because he's very charismatic and just knows he's a beautiful man. Just like our Jin, thank God he's back from the army now. Anyway, and then you've got, why have I completely forgotten her name? The little one, I'm calling her, because I just feel like she's tiny. Flick, whose real name is Felicity, but she goes by Flick. I love them. They were very different characters. None of the characters felt similar. There was two characters I was a bit wary of. One of them I was correct to be wary of. The other one I'm still not sure about, to be honest. But a lot is happening. This ended on such a cliffhanger, and I did not realise until the end that this is a series. I thought it was a standalone about a heist, and that was it. No, it's a full-on series. So just be warned. This one, you're following, like I say, Artie, I don't know. You're following her. She owns a tea house that turns into a blood house at night time. It is an illegal thing, but this, obviously that means it's vampires. Vampires are in this book. And she is on a mission to basically save her tea house stroke blood house. And there's a heist involved to do that. The one thing is, there's not a lot of world building, I would necessarily say, in this story. It's kind of, you're learning as you go. And I felt it was quite slow to get into. I really was not invested until we actually got to the heist itself. Not even the planning. Once we were at the heist, then I was invested. Before that, it was a bit slow, and I was a bit like, not too bothered, even though I really like the characters. So that's why I don't know how I feel about it. I think maybe this is just a slow build to a much bigger plot. So I think the rest of the series, fingers crossed, however many books there are, will be a lot better. And this one is like to dip your toe into what that real plot is. I could be wrong though. Then I read My Dark Desire by L.J. Sherman, Park West Huntington, because I read My Dark Romeo. Did I read it this year? It must have been. I think it was this year. It was a couple months ago. This one I rated 4.5 stars. My Dark Romeo, I think I rated a 3. I enjoyed it. It was fun, but it was like, there was a few moments where I was like, really? And I just found it a bit silly. I don't know, but this one, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I've also gave it a 3.5 in the spice rating, because this one is inexperienced man, experienced woman, and she's like teaching him, sort of. He can't be touched, is the basis of it. So it's not, she's like not teaching him how to have sex. She's teaching him how to stand the touch of a human being. Through sex, or through intimacy in that. I don't know how to explain it fully, but yes. The one thing is, I thought that was not very realistic. He seemed to be very good at what he did when he did it, even though it was the first time he was doing it. His inexperience didn't translate. I've put one tab in this purely because I love this scene, and it was literally, she laughed and he was like, what is that? What was that noise? And she's like, what? She's like, I laughed. He's like, do it again. And she's like, I can't just laugh. I don't know why you have to make me laugh. And then he's like, I don't know how to make you laugh. And then, even though he'd literally just done it. So I just found that very funny. So I tabbed that. Yeah, this book would have been a 5 stars if it weren't for the ending. I thought it was rushed. This book is literally like, it's 515 pages. It was thick enough that you might as well have added a few more pages to make the end not quite so rushed. And also I hated, like, there's always like a love confession or like a reunion or whatever. There's always something at the end of a book, like in the third act. Whether there's a third act breakup or not, there's always like a love confession or a declaration or something. And I hated it in this. It was just cringe. It was awkward. I was like, Zach has turned into a completely different man for this. And I didn't like it. I won't lie. And yeah, the end felt so rushed. By that, I mean, obviously I don't want to give spoilers. I think I would have liked it to just have ended with them just being in their relationship and allowing themselves to be. I think it's not that the story went fast, I just think they went fast. I don't know how to explain it other than that without giving any kind of spoilers, but yeah, but I thoroughly enjoyed it. I literally did not want to put this book down. I ate this book up. I mean, I literally read it in 2 days and it's over 500 pages long. It took me like 7 to read King of Sloth, and it was a whole 100 pages shorter, nearly. So yeah, I love this. It was so good. Okay, next on Kindle, I read Satan's Affair by H.G. Carlton to prepare to read for the Haunting and Hunting Adeline Cat and Mouse duet. I don't even know what genre to put this one as. I've just put it in my diary as dark with ellipses because it's not a romance. There is spice. It's incredibly dark, incredibly messed up. There is a twist at the end of this that I was not expecting. If you read it, you might be. A lot of people probably would be expecting this twist. I won't lie. I wasn't. I definitely recommend reading Satan's Affair before reading Haunting Adeline, because the events of Satan's Affair happen around about 70% into Haunting Adeline, and I think it'll give you a bit more context as to what's going on. Yeah, I gave it like I think I give it a 4 on the spice scale because it's short, but probably is a 5 as well. Like, I don't know how to explain it. It's just, it's a lot. But I definitely recommend reading that first. It'll also just help you get into the mindset of just how dark Haunting and Hunting Adeline is. So if you don't like Satan's Affair, or if you can't handle Satan's Affair, just don't bother reading the Cat and Mouse duet, in my opinion. That being said, I went straight on into the Cat and Mouse duet. I don't know what to rate these books. I have rated Haunting Adeline a 4 stars and Hunting a 4.25. It probably is just a 4. I don't know what individually they are. I think as a whole they're a 4 star. I didn't rate the novella because it was only 157 pages and I didn't know how to rate it as well. So I think just as a whole the duet and the novella probably is a 4 stars, but I don't really know how to rate them individually. I've rated Haunting Adeline as a 5-star spice, a 5 chili pepper spice. I don't know what rating to put to Hunting because yes, there is spice in it between Zaid and Addie, but the first 40, 45, well, between 40 and 50% of the book is, I don't even know, because I don't want to like spoil it, but it's a big trigger warning, but it is schmex trafficking. So I don't know what to rate it because obviously that, it's a funny one, I think, because of the content of the book, so I haven't rated it in spice. But between Addie and Zaid, it's probably the same. It's like a 5 star, but with what happens in the first part of the book, yeah. Anyway, Haunting Adeline, I did really enjoy it. I opened the Kindle app, well, I read it on my Kindle, and on the first page it does have the trigger warnings of non-con and dub-con. I didn't realise how bad the non-con was, to be completely honest with you. I wasn't expecting that and it threw me off. I'm someone who I'm not triggered easily, and I'm not saying I was triggered by it, really. I'm not triggered easily. Usually if I see trigger warnings, I'm like, okay, great, let's start reading. But I think I looked at that and didn't really expect it. So I want to love Zaid. And like I do, the same as the rest of Dark Romance Book Talk, love Zaid Meadows. But that ruined him for me a bit. He was much better in book 2. Zaid Meadows is much better. He seems to have some real like personal growth between him and Addie. How he treats her is a lot better. I mean, it's still stalkerish and obsessive and dangerous, but in book 2 it's better. So I think I preferred Zaid in book 2, absolutely. Yeah, if I thought book 1 was dark and what happened in that, I was not prepared for book 2. That being said, I could not put the book down. I needed to know what happened next. I mean, I read Haunting in 4 days, I read Hunting in 2, because I mean I was off for all of those days when I was reading Hunting. But yeah, also in Hunting Adeline, I found Addie to be really stupid, and it was annoying because she was doing stupid things, dangerous things that put her life in danger, and she was like, oh, I'm so stupid, why did God make me this way? Oh God, why? I'm so stupid, I'm gonna get myself killed. Like, yeah, but you can't blame some deity that may or may not exist for the fact that you're doing stupid things. So that annoyed me. So I don't really know what to say about the Haunting and Hunting Adeline cat and mouse duet. I did enjoy them. I do recommend them if you like dark romance. However, really looking at trigger warnings, they're much darker. I knew they were dark, but I just wasn't expecting the events in Hunting Adeline to happen, and I wasn't expecting the non-con to be quite so non-con in Hunting Adeline. So I'd maybe think about that if you're going to get into the books. Completely changing up the vibe. Next, I read Astrid Parker Doesn't Fail. This one I rated 4.5 stars. I loved this book. I've got Delilah Green Doesn't Care right here. I read this a couple months ago and that one was a 4 stars. I really enjoyed it. I think it was my first sapphic romance. This one follows Astrid Parker, who is Delilah's stepsister. I didn't like Astrid in the first book. And towards the end of it, I was like, okay, yeah, maybe there's some misunderstanding. These ones are interconnected standalones, so you don't have to read the first one. I would recommend it because I think you'll get more information and sort of, you'll have more of an idea of why Astrid's in the headspace that she's in this book and sort of her backstory. But you don't have to read it if you don't want to. You don't have to read it first or whatever, but I would recommend it just to have more of an insight into Astrid's sort of mental space throughout this book. Yeah, I just loved it. I was giggling and kicking my feet all the way through it. Jordan and Astrid are the cutest couple. Jordan in general is just the ideal partner. She's loyal, she's caring, she's kind, she's sensitive, she's just beautiful. And I just thought they were such a good pair. And Astrid's personal growth and character development throughout the whole book, I just loved. She really comes to terms with different things and she really sets boundaries, and she just, yeah, it was so good. I just thoroughly enjoyed this book. So this one was a 4.5 stars. I give it a 2.5 chili rating because it's kind of like, it's in third person, so it's kind of not as explicit as like a first person Schmeck scene. It wasn't quite as detailed, but it was good. Okay, next I read The Serpent and the Wings of Night by Chrissy Broadbent. I thought this series was finished and it turns out it's not. There's a third book coming out in November, so I was going to go straight on to the novella and then The Ashes and Star-Crossed King, but I've decided I'll leave the novella for like a month or two, then leave The Ashes and Star-Crossed King another month or two after that, and then the third one, which I can't remember what it's called, something to do with songbirds. Sounds very much like Songbird, Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, but not quite. Then hopefully that should be out around that time. This is the independently published hardback. I think the regular one is still looks like this on the front, but I know like the snake's more green and the jewel's more blue, but I like how it's quite square. I quite like this hardback. Anyway, I rated this book a 4.5 stars. I've got a spice rating of 2 because there's only really like the 1 and a bit like spice scenes, I would say. This, a lot of people say this is like ACOTAR meets the Hunger Games. It's definitely very Hunger Gamesy because obviously there's like trials. This one, for those who are not aware, we're following Oriah, who is a human in a world of vampires. I've just realised this is the second vampire fantasy I've read this month. Anyway, and she has to go through these trials called the Kajari, which is like a 4-month-long process in order to get a wish granted off the goddess, because she's a human living in a vampire world and she's always at danger and all that. So she was basically taken in by a vampire called, well, the king of their like region, called Vincent, when she was like a few years old, and so she's lived with him ever since, and she sees him as a father and like calls him father and all that. I will not lie, the whole time I mean, they're vampires, I'm pretty sure they're meant to be like eternally young, but I literally imagined him as President Snow the whole time. And that isn't even necessarily because of the whole Hunger Games thing. I think it's just because he had white hair, but I was just like, and because he's president, so like the whole time, because I imagined him as President Snow, I just didn't trust him. And I still don't know if that's a good idea or not, because I have no answers about Vincent really. I sobbed at this though. I fully sobbed. Like, I sat up in bed, was like I was like reading this when I got up on the morning, like first thing in the morning, sat to finish this. As if I'm hugging it like a emotional support device, because I kind of need it when talking about this. I was fully having to use my like pajama top to like dry my tears. yeah, I don't think I've cried at a book so far this year, but this might have been the first one. I can't remember. I'll have to look through everything I've read so far, but I don't even know how to... I read most of this on Kindle, weirdly enough, even though I have the hardback. It was just, it's very heavy. But I was like in bed and my Kindle was easier, and then I think I wanted to take it out with me, so I was on Kindle, or I was reading on my walking pad. I can't remember, but I read most of it on Kindle, I won't lie. Yeah, I honestly haven't written much in my notes about what my thoughts were. I just thoroughly enjoyed it. The writing was decent. I was hooked quite quickly. You got into the action quite quickly. The world building kind of happened as you were going through, and it was paced out quite nicely. So yeah, I'm not sure about the ending. I'm not sure about my feelings. I'm sure we'll find them out in the next book. Anyway. Okay. Next, I read The Problem with Perfect by Philip William Stover. This is a book I got in the works for like £2 or £3 on sale. I think it was like £2. I can't remember. It's in a previous haul at some point from last year. I rated this a 2.75, and I'm now realising that that might be generous. I think I've overcompensated. It's probably just more of a straight up 2. The reason, at the time I was like, I liked it more than The Love Hypothesis. I didn't skim The Love Hypothesis, and I rated that at 2.5. I skim read the last 150 pages of this book, and by that I mean I literally was like, I'm 150 pages in. I don't want to stop finishing it now. I'm trying to get my numbers up this month. And I was like, I'll just read the dialogue. So the fact that I didn't skim The Love Hypothesis means I clearly liked that more than this. And therefore it's probably just a 2 stars. I'm going to be honest. We're leaving it as a 2.75 in the book though. I can't be bothered to change it. There was no spice in this. And I don't just mean in terms of sex scenes. There's just no spice. So this one's an MM romance. It's about Ethan, who is the producer of the show. His host of the show, Chase, has buggered off somewhere. And so for the sake of the show, Ethan goes to find Chase's twin brother, Bo, to take over. It was just messy. It was very... I did not care for the plot. It was just kind of stupid, to be honest. And I didn't like Ethan. Bo had his moments of being annoying, but he seemed like a decent guy. Ethan just seemed like not a very nice person. Like, to the people he loved, yeah, but he just didn't seem like a great person, to be honest with you. So yeah, I just skim read it because I just did not care in the slightest. Sort of in between reading that, I read She and Her Cat by Makoto Shinkai and Naruki Nagakawa. This one's translated by Ginny Tapley Takamori. It's just a really short book. It's like 154 pages. There's 4 chapters, about 30 to 40 pages long, and they follow a different person. So it's kind of like What You're Looking For is in the Library, which I really enjoyed. But this one is a lot more interconnected than What You're Looking For is in the Library, because that one, it's really just the library that had them interconnected, whereas these ones, like some of the characters did interact. So some parts are in the different cats' point of views, and some parts are in like the girls' point of views. But yeah, it was just really cute and wholesome about different girls finding these cats, and then those cats just making their lives better, or how their lives like changed for the better with these cats, or like about healing. And it was just really cute. And I just really enjoyed it, to be honest. So I rated it 4.5 stars. Obviously there's no spice, but it just felt very wholesome. So I just love that genre of Japanese literary fiction, where it's like a short book, there's like a few chapters and they're all following different people, but you get really connected with the characters really quickly. You really care about them. They're very like calming and wholesome and heartwarming feeling, and I just like, they're comforting, and I need more like that. So if you have any recommendations, let me know. The next one I read was at this point I have read 12 books this month at this point, and I was like, I have 3 more days of the month. Why don't we try and get one more read? And I thought, it's Pride Month. I'd read Ashford Parker Doesn't Fail, which is sapphic. The Problem with Perfect is a gay romance. It was a DNF, that was a gay romance. So because I thought, let's get some of the LGBTQ plus books I have on my shelf. Let's read some of those with it being Pride Month. So I had one more book in that genre that I wanted to read. But then I was like on TikTok Shop, and HarperCollins had a 50% off sale, and they had Ruthless Vows for like £7.50 or something like that. And I thought, let's start Divine Rivals and just see if I want to buy the next one before I actually buy it. Because obviously at the moment I'm on a book buying ban. I'm only allowed to buy sequels to books I am reading, or like new releases that are like continuing on from series that I'm in the middle of that are ongoing. I got 37 pages in and clicked order. I loved this book so much. It was 5 stars. There is the spice that's mentioned at the end. It's mentioned. It's not really like, it's very romantic. Yeah. Obviously this is a YA. Most people probably know what this is about. It's about Iris, whose brother Forrest has gone off to fight in the war between 2 gods, and she's working at the like Gazette in her town that she lives in, and she has a rival at the Gazette, Rowan. They're both going after the same job position, and things happen and she decides to go off to be a war correspondent, and basically their typewriters are like magically intertwined and they can send notes to each other, but she doesn't know it's him. And I just, everything about this I loved. The writing was simple enough that it was easy to read, but complicated enough that you felt invested, and the pacing was so good. There was never nothing going on, but there was never too much going on. It was just, there was a really good balance between action and filler. And their relationship, they were so cute. They were so cute. I literally was tearing up. I'm tearing up now thinking about different scenes because I just love them. Roman went from, like, for his own amusement, like riling her up at work, to literally being like, I will crawl to her. I'm so looking forward to Ruthless Vows. But the thing is, HarperCollins on TikTok Shop like takes a while. So I ordered it on the 27th. It's been 3 days. It's not even dispatched yet. So the final book I read this month, I finished it this morning. I read most of it yesterday, which I don't know how, because I also had to read a lot of this yesterday. Is Iris Kelly Doesn't Date. So another sapphic romance. It follows on from Ashford Parker Doesn't Fail. So I wanted to finish this series again. Also it's sapphic for Pride Month. This one I rated a 4 stars for 3 chili peppers. So it's probably the spiciest of the 3, because like kind of spice lessons are a thing in this. This one's fake dating. You're following Iris. I realised I read 2 books in a row where the main girl's name is Iris. Anyway, and Stevie. Stevie I really related to because she has a generalised anxiety disorder, which I also have. And she, when you're in her head, it's third person, but you're kind of in her head, it's really confusing. She's always questioning everything and getting like anxious at things where she's like, I shouldn't be getting anxious at this, and she like second guesses herself. And they meet, have a not so successful hookup, and then they have to like start fake dating because Stevie's told her friends to like save face that the hookup went great and now they're dating, and she was just going to be like, oh, we broke up a few weeks later without Iris having anything to do with anything. But then Iris so happens to bump into her friends, and then this whole thing happens. Yeah, Stevie really wooed Iris. It was really cute because Iris has like very skewed views on her and relationships. Yeah, it was just really cute. It was very romantic. Ashford Parker was my favourite. But I also just, the whole series I recommend. It's a really good series. So yeah, that's all I'm gonna say on that. Anyway, that's the 14 books I read this month. I'm tempted to try for 15 next month, but I doubt that's gonna happen. But you never know. I did read a few shorter books, so yeah. I did technically read my full TBR from my TBR jar video. I had 2 DNFs. I DNF'd Mr. Wrong Number after 13 pages. Because it just seemed like she was like, oh my god, I'm so clumsy. And I wanted to die. I literally was like, I can't. This woman seems so annoying. So it might be a full DNF. I haven't decided yet. we'll kind of hide her on the bookshelf for now just because I haven't got a whole lot of space. But I also DNF'd Red, White and Wild Blue after 32 pages because again, wow, they were annoying. I loved the movie, which is so, I really wanted to love this book. I loved the movie, and there was one line which I thought was from the book where Zara says you better act like the sun shines out of his ass and you've got a vitamin D deficiency, which I thought was such a good line. And in the book it's just you better act like the sun shines out of his dick. I'm like, that fell so flat. And like Zara was very like true to like, the Zara in the film was very true to Zara in the book, like being kind of like that aggressive like woman, but like in such a good way. Like it was Alex mostly and Henry that just, mostly Alex because we didn't get much of Henry by the first 30 pages. Just so annoying, so immature, and I was like, I literally can't. I know this is like, well, yeah, they were annoying, really annoying, and all the characters aside from Zara were annoying, and I couldn't, and I just didn't enjoy the writing. The chapters were like 20 pages each, and I'm like, I can't read long chapters like that. I knew. So both of these were picks from my TBR jar video, so I did try them. I just hated them, and they're both pink covers, so that's really depressing. So I might give it a go again in the future. I doubt it, but I'll keep it on the bookshelf for now, and we will reevaluate at the end of the year when I do my unhaul, because I have no reason to do an unhaul at the minute. I only have a few books to unhaul. Let's go through my stats. I've been filming for 45 minutes already. This is the longest I'm taking for a wrap up. Anyway, total pages read, by far the most for this year so far, as well as how many books. Pages read 5,237. So that's like 1,000 more than I had read before. Not bad. I read quite a few like big books. Like both the Haunting Adeline books were over 500 pages. Obviously, My Dark Romeo was over 500 pages. Iris Kelly was over 400. So I read a lot of quite big books, to be honest. So I had 1 2-star review, 1 3-star, 10 4-stars, and 1 5 stars, and a novella that I just don't rate. I read 4 like regular romance, 3 dark romance, 1 lit fic, 4 fantasy, 1 dark academia, and 1 that I've just dubbed dark, which is Satan's Affair. I've done this a bit funny because obviously 1 book I half listened to. Well, I listened to like 30% of Iris Kelly Doesn't Date, and then obviously on Kindle I read most of it of Certain Things of Night on Kindle. So paperback I read 6.5, hardback 3.5, audiobook a half, Kindle 3.5. So those are the stats. I can officially put these books on the red bookshelf. I only have space allotted for the rest, like Iris and Astrid. Here, my dark romance shelf, I don't think I can fit My Dark Desire next to My Dark Romeo. And I don't know where I'm going to fit everything else. My fantasy shelf is full. So maybe a new bookshelf on the way? We will see. Okay, but that is it for this video. I am not doing a TBR jar video for my TBR this month. I'm not doing a TBR picks. I'm going to just mood read this month, and then we'll go back to it. I might do a TBR jar picks my reads video possibly, but this month I thought I'd give it a break, not do it every month, you know, just switch up a bit. But I hope you enjoyed. If you did, give the video a thumbs up, subscribe down below if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!